G'day legends. In this video, we're going to take a look at a plugin that I've been using for a couple of years now, but a plugin that I wish I was using for a few years before then, because it is an absolute time saver, and anything that cuts down your editing time and lets you get back to the creative process is absolutely worth every single dollar, in my opinion. And I'm talking about Synchro Art's Vocalign. So we're going to take a look at Vocalign 6 Pro. There's some features in this which streamline the editing process even further, which means we can get back to what we love, mixing, all the creative stuff, and we can put all this editing behind us quick smart. So I don't know about you guys, but editing vocals is probably one of my least favorite things to do, tightening things up, tuning things, making it all sound really polished. I love the end product, but I just really don't enjoy what has to be done to get it there. But Vocalign makes it so much easier, and I'm going to show you exactly why I love using this plugin. Okay, so here's some vocals from a session that I recorded today, and I have nudged these a little bit further out of time just to show how powerful the time alignment is within Vocalign. So this is what it sounds like currently.
I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not lying to me and my friends about you. I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not lying to me and my friends about you.
Okay, I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to make these sound super tight. So on our lead vocal, let's load up Vocalign 6 Pro with the ARA version. Now, if you're using Logic on a Mac that is silicon based, you're going to have to load Logic in Rosetta to do this, because otherwise ARA does not work. If you don't know how to load Logic in Rosetta, basically you just come to your applications, right click on it, get info, and then there's just a little tab here to click that says open using Rosetta, so that next time you open Logic, it will open in Rosetta and you'll be able to use ARA. Now we're going to hit capture, and now it's captured our lead vocal as our guide. Now anything we add as a dub, it's going to match it up to that guide vocal. So that could be our double tracks, our harmonies. It's going to sync the timing to that lead vocal. So another great feature of Vocalign 6 is you can now have groups, so we can process multiple things at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new group, group 1. Now on our double tracks and our harmonies, we're going to load up Vocalign ARA as well. Now all we need to do is hit capture on dub, make sure it's on your group 1, which it already is. And now it has captured all of our vocals. So down the bottom here, this is where it's going to show us our final output of our aligned vocal. So over here on the right, make sure you have match timing selected, and then we can select how tight we make these. So at the moment, it's all the way to the right on tight with 0 milliseconds, which means it's going to try and make this vocal as tight as possible to the guide. Now the alignment, we're just going to leave it on normal flexibility, and I'm going to check Smart Align. So that means that if we have a gap like here between our harmony and then our guide vocal, where we've left a blank space, Vocalign's not going to try and pull the vocal from over here and fill this gap thinking that there's a timing issue. It's going to recognize that it has to match up with what's above, and if it thinks it's a good match, it keeps it in place. So this is a really helpful tool to avoid any annoying glitches within Vocalign. You also have the maximum shift, so we can just set how far we're going to allow Vocalign to fix the drift in the vocal.
I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not lying to me and my friends about you.
Man, that sounds awesome. So tight. Remember what it sounded like before? Let's turn these off.
I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue.
So good, and that's so fast and quick. If you were trying to cut this and move it, or just like use flex time in Logic, it's going to take you so much longer and you won't get as good results, I'm telling you now. So that's just awesome. With a couple of clicks, you've got some really tight vocals, and if you didn't want them that tight, you can come over here and you can pull this back and you can make them a little bit looser. We could have a listen to what it sounds like at around 70 milliseconds.
Cause I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue.
That doesn't sound bad at all, and having a little bit of looseness here and there can make it sound a little bit wider. If it's too perfect, it can start to sound a little bit narrower. So usually I like to leave it around 50 milliseconds to 20 milliseconds, somewhere in between there. We'll just put it around 30 and see how that sounds.
Cause I like me better when I'm not crying, my eyes aren't meant to be blue.
That sounds great. So this is the next awesome feature in Vocalign 6 Pro. that is another massive time saver. It's got the match pitch option. So what this means is, say if you have your guide vocal, you put a bit of love into it, you really get good takes. Maybe you go and you give it a bit of a manual tuning, and then you've got all your double tracks that you now need to match to it. Now you can manually tune those as well and match them up, and it's painstakingly time consuming. Or you can now use this feature in Vocalign to match the pitch. So it's going to listen to the guide and it's going to force these double tracks to match the pitch. So let me show you what this sounds like. This is without the match pitch.
I wasted so much time wishing you'd treat me right, but I recognize.
Okay, so there's a few little pitch mishaps on the double tracks. So our guide vocal is pretty solid. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like when we hit match pitch. We'll make this tight. Target mode, nearest octave, absolute, relative, or monotone. We're just going to go with the nearest octave. So if it was a low vocal, it would just try and match in at that low octave. And since they're unison, it's just going to try and pull it into what the guide vocal sounds like. Pitch target guide. So we want to set the target to the guide, not the dub. And then down the bottom here, smart pitch, match all to the guide. So I'll show you what's cool about this in a second when we bring the harmonies back in. But we'll leave it on match all to the guide. And let's have a listen to what this sounds like.
About you, I wasted so much time wishing you'd treat me right, but I recognize that I'm better off when I.
See, how good is that? Oh my goodness. So let's hear it again without the pitch and without the timing.
I wasted so much time wishing you'd treat me right, but I recognize. I wasted so much time wishing you'd treat me right, but I recognize that I'm.
Okay, so I'm going to bring the harmonies back in, but check this out. We've got it on match all to guide. So basically what this is going to do is anything that's in this group, it's going to try and match it to the guide vocal. So we've got two harmonies in here. Let's see what happens.
Cause I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
Where are the harmonies? So they have been turned into doubles. So this is what they sound like at the moment.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
So it's just forced them to match the pitch of the guide. That's pretty crazy. And it sounds pretty good. Like, obviously when you listen to it there, it's got a bit of like, sounds a bit chipmunky effect because it's been pitched up so much. But in the mix, like, you can't tell at all. So if a vocal's pretty pitchy, it can really pull it in line. But obviously we don't want that, right? So we've got all these vocals in the group. We don't want them to all snap to the guide if we've got harmonies in there. So we can change the smart pitch to match unison only. That means that it's going to ignore if there's vocals that are pretty far away from the pitch. It's not going to try and snap them to the guide vocal. It's just going to let them be. But then we also have the option to match unison and tune non-unison. If we put this on, let's have a listen to what happens.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not lying to me and my friends about you.
That's crazy, man. Remember what it sounded like before?
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue. I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
So it's just a crazy time saver. Being able to get your vocals aligned like that, save yourself a bunch of editing time. This is why it's such an invaluable tool to me. So another cool feature in this is the Formant Shift. So if you were matching up vocals and you wanted to give them a slightly different tone, you could play with the formant of the vocals. So for example, let's push this up high and have a listen to what it sounds like.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
So you get a bit of that sort of chipmunky sound, but you can pull it all the way down the other way and get sort of that lower, thicker vocal sound.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
Which can sound pretty cool if we put our lead vocal back in over the top.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
Just separates it out from the lead vocal a little more. Just doesn't sound like so much of the same voice over the top of each other. So even if you just did a small amount of that, it can make a pretty big difference.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
Now, one more other really cool feature in this is if the vocals are kind of a little bit far out of alignment and you want to make them a little bit tighter. So you can zoom in here. These parts here weren't matching up very well. One was getting a little bit far away from the other. On our guide, we can right click right at the front of this note here and go add sync point. And then we can drag this over to the start of the note that we want to match it up to. This is going to help tell Vocalign how to make this a little bit tighter. So anytime you feel like you need to help realign the vocal, you can add a sync point in. So just to prove the point about how quick and easy it is to use, ready? We're going to load it onto our lead vocal, hit capture, close that. Going to go over to our vocals we want to match up, load it up onto those, and then we're going to have it on group 1 and hit capture. And then match timing, let's just put it all the way up. Normal, smart align, match pitch, 100%. Let's come down here, match unison only, and let's see how it sounds.
I like me better when I'm not crying. My eyes aren't meant to be blue.
It's just so good. So that's how easy it is to use. It's such a great little plugin. Just saves you a world of time when you're editing vocals. If you're interested in trying Vocalign out, or you can grab a copy of it, there will be a link in the description below. If you're keen to support this channel, check out the link to my website in the description below. Grab yourself a drum sample pack or a mixing course. Any of that stuff is a really great support for the time that goes into making these videos. If you're interested in watching a full process on how I like to treat and edit vocals, then check out this next video coming up.